Let's take a look at the class structure for iP2 and iP3 levels. So we have our class time and then day 1 and day 2. So now we'll take a look at what we study on day 1. So during the first class, for the first 45 minutes, we will study phonics. Then they'll have a 5-minute break, and during the second class, that lasts for 40 minutes, they will study 20 more minutes of phonics as well as 20 minutes of the classic. Now looking at day 2, the first class, 45 minutes, they will study phonics again. And then in the second class, they will study 30 minutes of phonics this time, and then as well as 10 minutes of daily expression. So now we're taking a closer look at how we divide the class time between the phonics book, the classic, as well as the palette. These labels that I'm about to talk about will correspond with the operation plan. So you can see here that this row here is labeled A. If you look here, we have day 1A, day 2A. This row here is labeled B. We have day 1B and day 2B. And then we have row C. This is labeled day 1C, day 2C. Okay, so taking a closer look at the content of every class, here we're looking at day 1A. You can see here that we are studying lesson 1, and we're going to study the atelier A through K for 40 minutes. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll continue on with any components we haven't finished through A through K for 20 minutes. Then we'll finish the class with the classic. This day is music appreciation. Now, day 2A, you can see here we're going to do lesson 1 story, and then we're going to continue on with lesson 2 in the atelier, A through K for 40 minutes, have a break, and then atelier, continue on with A through K, whatever you couldn't finish. And then to end the class, we'll study the palette book, lesson 1 for only 10 minutes. Now looking at B here, day 1B, we're going to study lesson 2 story. As a reminder, we studied lesson 2 in the atelier. Now we need to do lesson 2 story. After the story, we will do a review of lesson 1 and lesson 2. After the review, we will do, after the break, we will do hands-on activities for 20 minutes, and then the classic, this time, art appreciation for 20 minutes. On day 2B, we're going to move on to lesson 3. Again, atelier A through K, have a 5-minute break, whatever we didn't finish, A through K for 30 minutes here. And then we will do lesson 1 of the palette for 10 minutes. Looking at C, day 1C, here we studied lesson 3 of the atelier. Now we're going to do lesson 3 story. And then we're going to move on to lesson 4, atelier A through K, and have a 5-minute break, whatever we didn't finish, A through K down here. And this time we have, for the classic, an activity where they'll give an expression. Then for day 2C, we're going to continue on lesson 4 story. Here we did lesson 4 atelier, here we're doing lesson 4 story. And then a review of lesson 3 and 4, hands-on activities. And then we'll study the palette, again lesson 1 for that, 10 minutes. So now we'll take a look at the operation plan. So just like at APACS, it's always important to have a look at the operation plan before you teach every day. Now this operation plan, especially for iGarden, is going to correlate with the class structure. So you have to remember this guide, this operation plan that we're looking at now is for the start of the intensives. And for the intensives, they're going to study for 3 hours a day, which means that they're going to cover 2 days in one class. So you can see here, we have 2 days. So if we look at this, you can see they're studying lesson 1 and 2. And on this operation plan, that means that they're going to be studying day 1A and day 2A, all on June 7th. So now let's compare that with the class structure. So you saw in the operation plan, they're studying day 1A and day 2A. So you would need to cover all of this on June 7th in a span of 3 hours. Now let's take a look at what they'll be learning on the next day. So when they come back to class on Friday, now it's time for them to be learning day 1B, and then they're going to learn day 2B. So you can see here, when they're on day 1B, they're actually studying lessons 1 and 2. But on day 2B, they're going to be studying lesson 3. So the operation plan is going to give you information on what lesson as well as which day to look at on the class structure. So let's go and compare that. As we discussed, day 1B, you can see here they are studying lesson 1 and 2 in the review. And then for day 2B, they would be starting lesson 3. Now let's take a look at what they study next. So they've come back on Tuesday, and you can see they're going to be studying lesson 3 and 4, and they're going to be studying on the program guide day 1C and day 2C. So now let's compare it. So we have our class structure, and we're looking at day 1. You can see that they are studying lesson 3 and 4, and they're having a review here. So when in doubt, make sure that you're always referring to the operation plan and then just doing exactly what days are assigned on that.